guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video, and today I'm gonna be doing a tag, okay? I haven't done a tag in I don't know how long.
It's been 84 years.
And it's honestly really sad because I used to love doing tags, so I'm gonna try and do more tags. And this tag is the name book tag. I was originally tagged by Kristin at Enter the Book. I will leave her channel down below as well as the original creators video down below. And yeah, this is essentially where you take your name and you recommend a book based on every letter of your name. Well, since my name is only 4 letters long, I decided to add a few books. So for E, I'm gonna recommend 4 books. For A, I'm gonna recommend 4 books, and then I'm only gonna recommend 2 books per M's, okay? And the reason why I'm doing that is because there's already 2 M's. I'm doing it because I can. Before we actually get started, I would really appreciate it if you guys would look down in the description box for all the links there that I have for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. And those links will be down there for you guys to interact with and to share. And then down in the comment section, since I'm not tagging anybody in particular, if you would like to do this tag down in the comments, please do, okay? I wanna see what recommendations y'all come up with, okay? So with that being said, let's just get right into it. First, we have E. Okay, and the first book that I would like to recommend for E is Ensnared by Tiffany Roberts. All right, this is a monster romance about Katouh and Ivy. Katouh is, walk with me here, okay, a spider alien. So he lives away from the colony in the jungle, and one day he comes upon this spaceship that he didn't know was actually a spaceship, and he accidentally wakes up one of the humans in this spaceship from like hypersleep or something, and he takes her back into the jungle and essentially teaches her like his language and how to protect herself, and a romance sparks in between the two of them. And look, this is not going to be for everybody. I love this book though, all right? This is one of my favorite monster romances ever. This is a slow burn, all right? Also, this has probably one of the I say raunchy just for lack of a better word, but like this genuinely has a scene in here where I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, I highly recommend this book to people who love monster romance. The second book for E that I would like to recommend is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monika Kim. This is about Ji-won, who lives with her mom and her sister, and their dad left them in order to go be with his little mistress. And so the mom is just beside herself until she gets a new boyfriend named George. And just to boil it down real quick, George is a white dude with an Asian fetish.
Lock that bitch up. Lock it up.
Ji-won at one point starts having these dreams about eyeballs, and she gets obsessed with the idea of eyeballs. And it kind of just spirals from there, all right? This is one of my favorite horror books of all time. It is so good. It's so fast to go through. I loved Ji-won as a character, all right? She is flawed, all right, as hell. But that's what made her so interesting to follow. I just loved how just gross and weird this book was. Oh my gosh, this is literally one of my favorite books of all time. Literally one of my favorite books to ever recommend, all right? The third book that I would like to recommend for the letter E is Empire of Wild by Cherie, Dimaline, all right? This is about a woman named Joan whose husband has been missing for about a year or something like that. She can't find him until one day she does, and he is in a Walmart parking lot in a revival style tent. He no longer remembers her, no longer recognizes her, and does not go by the name Victor anymore, only by the name of Eugene Wolfe. And Joan kind of detects this like weird bad energy aura around him. So she enlists an elder in her community and her nephew in order to help get her husband back. It's a werewolf book. Okay, and if y'all know me, if y'all have been on my channel for at least a little bit, y'all would know that I love a werewolf book. The story takes inspiration from like 3 different cultures. It's so good and it mixes them so well, and it's scary. And Joan, love Joan.
Love pink.
Literally one of my favorite main characters to ever read about, and her and Victor. And then the last book that I would like to recommend for the letter E is Eyeliner by Zahra Hankir, all right? This is just a history of the makeup product eyeliner. I annotated it. It was just really interesting to learn about the history of this incredibly popular makeup product. We learn all about Nefertiti, and everyone after her that uses eyeliner and popularized eyeliner and the different types of eyeliner in different cultures. It was really, really cool. And all I have to say is that Nefertiti could most definitely write and perform Look What the Cat Dragged In, but Poison could never rule ancient Egypt. Now we're moving on to the M's. All right, the first book that I would like to recommend for the first M is Modern Sudanese Poetry by Adil Babikir. This is a huge collection of Sudanese poems written by renowned Sudanese poets. And this collection spans almost 6 decades worth of Sudan's post-independence history. I have so many dog-eared pages in here because so many of these poems were absolutely beautiful. All right, the rhythm and the flow and the imagery that these poems conjure. I don't normally frequent poetry that much, but this Modern Sudanese poetry might have just rekindled a love of poetry for me. The second book that I would like to recommend for the first M is Mermaid Saga by Rumiko Takahashi. This is set in an alternative version of, I say, our world. It spans from feudal Japan all the way up to modern Japan. You know, it kind of flips back and forth, kind of dual timeline, kind of not. But essentially in this version of our world, eating mermaid flesh makes you immortal. So Yuta, one of our main characters, he has unwittingly eaten flesh and he's trying to reverse the immortality. And he meets a human woman named Mana, and they essentially team up to try and find a way to make themselves mortal again. The art style is absolutely beautiful. It's the same person who made Inuyasha, alright, so of course I had to pick it up, and the art style is so reminiscent of that. The mermaid lore is really, really cool. So if you are someone who's looking for a mermaid book with a more maybe original take to the mermaid lore, and just a really interesting story spanning literal centuries, okay, Mermaid Saga is definitely for you. The second M, the third letter in my name, alright, I would like to recommend Meg, alright, by Steve Alten. This is a creature feature about the Megalodon.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Megalodon comes up from the depths of the ocean and just starts terrorizing people, alright? This was a fun, bloody time. I liked the Meg movie. Alright, it's not, you know, probably The Godfather, but it was fun, okay? It was so much fun. It has some really, really cool chapters from the shark's perspective, alright? Including one like at the very beginning that's from like the dinosaurs, like the time of the dinosaurs. I really, really enjoyed this book. It was just a fun little creature feature. The second book for the third letter of Emma, alright, is Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones. And this is just about a family of Native Americans who just happen to be werewolves and are just trying to survive, all right? And that's, I think, what I like so much about this book. It's a horror, but it's kind of like a nonchalant horror. It's just very much this family just going through their everyday life and trying to survive, you know what I mean? Moving around from place to place, not being able to stay in one place too long, having to keep their secret from everybody. We follow a boy with his aunt and uncle, and whether or not he wants to live with them on their life on the road, or if he wants to actually try and settle down somewhere. It's a werewolf book. Again, it's Stephen Graham Jones. He's literally one of my favorite authors. This probably will not be a hit for everybody, but I think that if you like Stephen Graham Jones, and if you like werewolves, and maybe coming of age stories, I don't know, that one might be a reach, but I think you get what I mean. And then lastly, all right, for the letter A, I would love to recommend to y'all Annibot by Sierra Greer. This is about a sex robot named Annibot, and she has been bought and modified over and over and over again by her owner, Doug, in order to be the perfect woman. She tries really, really hard to please him because that's all she knows. Because of her artificial intelligence, she starts to become more and more sentient with every day that passes. And she starts to realize that, oh, well, wait a minute, as I become more sentient, I don't act as perfectly as Doug wants. And therefore, if I don't act as perfectly as he wants, he doesn't like me very much. Well, then wait a minute. What doesn't he like about me? And what else is there to like about me? What else is there to dislike? And she starts to have a burgeoning humanity. This book will not be a hit for everybody, and I completely understand that. But For me, I don't know why, this book just has such a special place in my heart. I loved Annie so much, all right? I just love stories where people realize, you know, that they have more autonomy than they really thought that they had, you know? I loved this story because it was a robot finding out about their humanity, and Annie, particularly as a robot, not only that, but finding out about her femininity. And it was just so lovely. I love the idea of burgeoning sentience and what that looks like and who defines sentience. It was thought-provoking for me, and very short as well. Honestly, I recommend it. All right, if it sounds interesting, try it out. The second book that I would like to recommend for the fourth letter in my name, A, is As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zoulfa Katouh. This is set during the Syrian Civil War, and we follow a girl named Salema who works as a nurse who takes care of the wounded from the fighting. Her PTSD throughout the entire ordeal starts to take a physical shape, and this physical shape is hounding her to leave the country. And she does. She wants to leave the country and take her sister-in-law Layla out, but what's keeping her back and keeping her in the country is her love for her country. She didn't want to have to leave, and also her morality. She doesn't want to leave when she has all of these people that depend on her as a nurse. I love this book. All right, I annotated it. It is about a war that admittedly I really knew very little about, and the way that the story is weaved through the historical facts of this war is so well done. And I loved all the characters in this book, and just the story kept me so gripped. If you are someone who likes A Thousand Splendid Suns, if you really enjoyed that book, I think you'll really enjoy As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. It is about someone in the midst of a horrific war trying to leave and justify it with survival, while also being plagued with the guilt of leaving home. Another book that I would like to recommend for the letter A is A Curse of Blood and Wolves by Melissa McTernan. This is a Red Riding Hood retelling, and it's about a girl named Ruby who every day she walks home from work and she has to go through the woods and she feels somebody watching her. It's romantasy, all right? And look, from one of the biggest critics of romantasy out there, I do say, this was absolutely amazing.
Incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before.
It has a will they, won't they, which in my opinion didn't get dragged out too long, which, all right, bless. Because I feel like that happens so often now in books, TV shows, movies, where it's just, okay, yeah, no, it's stale at this point. Wrap it up. Y'all are either gonna kiss or kick one another in the nuts and just leave.
Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
It is so much fun, and the tension in here is really, really good. So if you were like me and you are someone who really wants to find a good romantasy, all right, take it from me and try this out. As of right now, this is literally one of my favorite romantasy books that I've ever read, and I don't think I'll ever be able to stop recommending it. Also, this is like the only Red Riding Hood retelling that I've read that I genuinely didn't want to throw across the room. So take from that what you will. The last book that I would like to recommend in this tag, based on the letter A, is Animal Farm by George Orwell. This is about this farm where all of the animals rise up and chase out the human, and they try to make this farm a better place for animals, therefore naming it Animal Farm. This is a very, very short book, but it's very good. Animal Farm is a satire of the Russian Revolution, of Stalin coming to power. This is primarily a book in the most general sense about how power corrupts. I thought the metaphor was done superbly, all right? And I love me a book where damn near everything in it represents something in real life, all right, or represents something that helps the story, all right. Chain Gang All-Stars was like that, and Animal Farm is like this as well, all right, because like I said, since this is a satire about the Russian Revolution, you have somebody in here that represents Stalin, you have somebody in here that represents Trotsky, you have an event that represents the power vacuum after Lenin died. You know, there's so many cool little plugs for history in this book, and I loved it. So you guys, that was the name book tag. I hope that you've enjoyed. Like I said before, I'm not tagging anybody in particular, so if you see this and you would like to do this tag, please do it and let me know so that I can watch it, because this is a really cool concept, okay? So with that being said, you guys, I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope you continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.